Welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. My guest today is Travis Elmer. Travis is the new owner, the partner owner of Hillmer's on Main, which used to be Brenda's on Main, which used to be who knows what, because everybody around here will tell you what it was, not what it is.
Yep.
You opened February, is that right?
February 10th.
And then on March 15th, you got shut down?
Yep. Right before my birthday.
Oh, what a way to celebrate.
Celebrated at home.
That was brutal.
Yep.
How have you sort of survived and bounced back? Because you're open again.
Yeah. So while we were closed, I went through and repainted the kitchen, did any kind of renovations I could, and kind of finessed the menu and figured out some new recipes. So I spent my time still at the restaurant getting ready.
Updating.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. And you first opened by doing takeout,
Yes.
like everybody else?
Curbside pickup,
Curbside, right. the new phrasing.
Yep.
And then seating outside.
Yep.
And now you're full service again.
Yep. And the seating outside was difficult because those bricks on Main Street get so hot that
Yeah.
I can only have tables out there till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
That's sort of one of the things you never even think about, because eating on the street is such a pleasant thing to do. You never think that what's on the sidewalk, what's on the pavement, really makes such a difference.
Yeah, especially on these hot days we've been having.
Yeah, which again are not normal for here,
Yeah.
not right now. Are you from here?
Nope, I'm from Salt Lake City. Grew up in Utah till I was 16, and then I moved here to Newport.
What brought you here?
My dad moved here when I was really young, and then when you become of age, you can choose which parent, and kind of got tired of Utah, so brought myself out here.
And what made you decide to run a restaurant? I mean, that's not an easy transition.
Yeah, at first I wanted to be in early childhood development, was my original idea. And then after a year of training in that, decided it wasn't for me. And then culinary is something I've always loved. So tried culinary out, went to culinary school, and it's just something I'm good
Had
at.
you always been a foodie?
Yeah, my mom couldn't cook. If you tried her biscuits and gravy, she puts extra packets of seasoning in it.
Uh-huh.
So it was way too strong, but she over-seasoned everything. So I started taking over some of the cooking, and that's eventually how I started cooking. And we grew up with boxed food.
Huh.
In Utah, it's normal to have boxed mashed potatoes that you just add water to. So I grew up with that. So once I figured out you can actually make it homemade, I started making it homemade for our family. And my oldest brother was big into cooking too, so he showed me a few tricks.
So for you, running a restaurant is a protest.
Yeah. Mom, this is how you cook.
Yeah. It's really interesting, because I'm sure many people would have gravitated to good food elsewhere, but not have taken the route that you have, which is to really do it right and to do it from scratch.
Yes, it's harder, but you can
Yeah.
taste it.
Where did you learn?
So I went to New England Culinary Institute, but that's not where I learned how to understand food. NEK more taught me the structure of food, how things can be broken down and remade and what they pair with. But then I went to California, to Carmel, to a restaurant called Casanova, and they broke me down. And first day there, he made me smell a bunch of ingredients and taste them blindfolded.
Yeah.
And I had to get more than 80% right, and I didn't. So I ended up having to be the stalker for my first 2 weeks there until I learned every single ingredient. And they had 12 different mushrooms. They had 60 different seasonings, and I had to know every single one.
By taste.
Yes. And then after that, they moved me up, and I had 3 different chefs that were always working with me. They sent me out to the woods every single day before I started work, and I would go pick wild mushrooms, wild flowers, watercress fresh out of the river, and I would just fill this backpack every day So that was an amazing experience, and I use it here still. I do fiddleheads and some mushrooms that I go forage for.
So you're trained as a forager.
Yeah, and I love it. You can taste the difference in the food.
Yeah.
And
Is that something that you're going to incorporate in your restaurant here?
Yep. So this week starting, I paired with Pop's microgreens, which is, he's out of North Troy, and it takes 1 week for him to grow these microgreens for me. So he's also my compost guy. So he comes and takes my compost, feeds it to his chickens, and puts it in compost, and feeds the chickens, and then I get chickens from him. So we make a big, huge circle from my compost to the chickens and back to the restaurant.
So everything's local.
Yes.
Is that true for all your ingredients?
No, and there's some things I can't, like my lobsters I get
Right.
close. My salmon comes from Canada, so it's close, but not that local.
Well, it could just swim across.
Yeah. And then whatever I can get here that's not outrageously overpriced,
Right.
I do. If it's double the price for ground beef local, I can't do that.
No.
But I am pairing with another local for
A local farmer.
beef and bison.
Are you getting eggs locally too?
No, I can't do that yet. I'm trying to get my farmer in North Troy to start raising some hens for
Yeah,
me.
because you
but-
must use thousands of eggs.
Oh, when we first opened, I was going through about 350 eggs a week.
Right.
And
And
hopefully it gets back to that.
That was just as a new restaurant, so as you build a following.
Yeah.
What made you pick a diner as opposed to another style of restaurant, particularly when you're used to so many, quote, fine ingredients?
Yep. So I have my baby on the way. And
Yeah.
when you work in fine dining or most restaurants, you're working weekends.
Yes.
You're working nights. You're
Yeah, it's
working
brutal.
holidays. So with the baby on the way, I really want to be able to spend time because that's a big goal of my life is having a child. So I want to be there. So doing a diner, I can do breakfast and lunch, incorporate what I learned in fine dining into the simple home cooking. And with that, I still have my life. The 50s diner came from my mom, actually. Our whole house was decorated with Betty Boop, Coca-Cola, checkered floor, and my mom was obsessed with that whole era.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of drew back from that. And she loved her 80s, but she did occasionally listen to 50s.
Yeah.
So it kind of grew on me. The mixture of the bad food, but the good taste.
Do you have a jukebox yet?
No, I don't. I'm still trying to
Are you
find
going
one.
to?
Yeah. I found one, but it's way too overpriced. So
Yeah.
as soon as I find one, I'll get it in there.
Because there's still a lot of us who remember the 50s music.
Hmm.
That were dying fast.
And I probably know every word now after listening to this, because there's only so many 50 songs to listen to them day after day. I can sing Charlie Brown word for word now.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the restaurant as you move forward? I mean, I know that you're doing an enormous amount with other community members, which is really cool.
Yeah. The goal is we want to be able to buy the building. We're trying to figure that out right now. And there's 2 businesses right next to us. There's 2 businesses, including us. And there's an art gallery next door. And her contract ends soon. So if I can buy the building, then I can tear down the wall between us the way it used to be.
Right, and expand the space.
And expand it out and be able to have more seating. And then we really want to bring in some of the old Atari video games. So Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, all those in their own little room in the back.
Yeah.
So then there's dining in the front and then arcade games in the back area. So that the kids have something to do.
Huh. Yeah, the business next to you, I think, is for sale. Anyway, there was a sign there, so
Yeah.
all you have to do,
Yeah.
come up with money.
That's what we're working on right now.
Is there anything above that store?
Nothing above, but there is a restaurant below us. It used to
Oh,
be.
right, the one at the back.
Yeah, it used to be Big Joe's.
Yes.
And right now they have a CBD company down there. But eventually, if we buy the building, we were thinking about putting a 50s style dance club down there, a footloose club with checkered dance floor,
Uh-huh.
seating, and then there's a kitchen down there too. So I
Be
could
really cool.
have somebody run downstairs and do dinner. So we'd have breakfast and lunch,
Yeah.
and then dinner downstairs.
Well, that's a lot of potential, that space. You sort of never think that from just the front. I'd forgotten about the one at the back,
Yeah,
because all of us have eaten at the back in its various incarnations.
yeah. And then,
It's interesting because that side of Main Street has a hard time. That somehow anything that all of you who are there right now can do to pull people across.
yeah, I think the hardest part is that that's right where the traffic light is.
Yes.
So everybody stops there, but the traffic builds up, so people aren't able to pull into those parking
Yeah.
spots. And I really wish they'd go back to the sideways parking like it used to be, because that would help our side of the street out.
That's been talked about quite a lot.
Yeah,
There's certainly a lot of people who would like that. It's efficient and it slows traffic down coming
Yes.
down the street, which would be really smart.
yeah, because people fly down Main Street.
It's crazy. How can we say as a city that we want people to stop and shop here when we're encouraging them to fly through?
Yeah.
Makes
And now
no
with
sense.
four-wheelers going on Main Street, it'd be
Yeah.
an easier spot for them to park as well.
Yeah, I've been looking at some of the old photos because I see a lot of them posted online, and it's all that diagonal parking.
Yeah, and it was always booming.
Yeah. Hanover in New Hampshire parks that way on their main street, and everything moves so slowly down there, but you get to see what's happening on the street and where you might be interested in looking.
Yeah.
Zoom through, I don't see anything.
Yeah, and that's the other hard part for us is we can't put anything on the building that sticks out. So right now it doesn't really scream that, hey, we're a diner, we're right here. Because right now it's all flat. When
Can you put anything on the street itself?
I don't think I can, and I don't think I can put those card or the wooden stands
Why
out
not?
on. I think it's
Because
a
we can
safety
on the other
issue.
side.
Yeah. I'm gonna try, but I did have a sign on the wall, but it didn't really seem much to help because again, it's all
Right. The sandwich board kind that we have across the street, I see those outside the tasting center. MAC, the Center for the Arts, has one.
mhm.
So that makes no sense to me that you can't.
Yeah. I actually haven't looked into if I can. It was just what was told
Yeah.
to me, but I still have to go talk to the town.
Have you tried talking to the city and asking them how they can help?
I've
Because
been trying. They're
isn't that what
closed.
they're for?
Yeah, they're closed right now. And then Jim Davis was actually helping me out a lot, and he just resigned.
Yeah, I know.
Which is unfortunate.
And that's
'cause
really sad.
He's the one person who actually came and talked to all of us. I know everybody on Main Street's upset because he's the only one.
Yeah, he's a big loss.
Yeah, he
Going to
came
be a
and helped
big
me
loss.
do milkshakes for the kids. He's the one who helped me come up with the idea where people donated money.
Yeah.
And I've already given these cards out for kids
Mhm.
to come in and get a free milkshake. So it's going to kids who are in families that can't really afford to go out and get milkshakes right now because things are
Right.
so tight. And that was all thanks to Jim.
Yeah.
So that's a big loss for us, I think.
It is a big loss, and it's very sad because that's something that's happened repeatedly.
Yeah.
That somehow that position, which is so important, somehow it's made very difficult.
Mhm.
And yet, unless there's another way for all of you on the street to organize, and you don't have time when you're trying to run a business
Right.
to do a lot of additional organizing.
And they had talked about shutting down Main Street on Wednesday nights so that
Uh-huh.
we could bring tables out and set
Yeah,
it all up.
be great.
But that got shut down by the state, I guess, because it's too much like a, say like a carnival almost.
How, well, maybe they can't shut it down, but can they narrow the street?
That was the idea, to stop it from Lagos to the Thai place.
Yeah.
And then traffic would go around pick and shovel.
And the state wouldn't allow that?
Right.
Huh. Maybe enough of us could make a fuss about that. But unless we know about things like that,
Yeah.
it's really hard to organize around them.
And that's where Jim came in.
Yeah.
He was the one who was at every business talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah, and so much of the challenge for Newport is how we communicate with each other, how we learn about what people can do to be helpful, because everybody who lives here wants to do well.
Yeah.
We live here, we want this town to do well. We want the whole of the Northeast Kingdom to do well. That's our home.
Yeah. Feels like we need some stronger leadership in there to help us.
Yeah.
Because we have to research our own information about grants and everything else as well. Jim was the only one that was helping us. But
Yeah.
we could read all day long and never actually know which ones we can actually fill out.
Mhm.
Or we try filling them out and it's all the money's already gone because we knew about it too late. Or there's just so many people looking.
Right, your restaurant would be a great meeting place for people to come together and talk about things like this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to rent out the dining room at nights if anybody ever wanted to. And that would be another good, it'd be a meeting spot. Because I close at 3 now.
Yeah.
So anytime after 3, it'd be a great spot for that.
It would. There have to be groups that we the citizens here, can help contact and raise it so that something like that can happen.
Yeah.
That's something to think about. And when this is aired on NEK-TV, maybe that will generate a response from people who think, yeah, I could help with that, or I know who could help with that.
Yeah.
So there used to be a very effective Chamber of Commerce downtown. And again, they ran out of funding and energy, as tends to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just in the process of rebuild. Have you had much contact with them? They're rebuilding, but slowly.
No, I haven't. I've had a couple of them come in for lunch.
Well, that's
but
good.
I
That's a
didn't-
start.
Didn't have time to sit and talk. I like to come out and talk to the tables, but there's points where it gets a little hectic in there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know where the Chambers building is?
Yep. Over by Gardner Park.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll have to go talk to them.
Right. They're not even open
Oh, yeah.
because everybody has to jump through all of the hoops that you've had to jump through, which are probably making you crazy.
Yeah, especially with the baby on the way.
Yeah.
That's the one thing scaring me. I can make the restaurant work, and even if I don't make a single penny or I have
Yeah.
to hold my own for a while. But it's getting ready for my baby is the worried part.
When's the baby due?
12 weeks and 5 days. No one's counting.
And he or she,
He.
is going to arrive on his own schedule regardless of what you think the dates are.
Yeah. It'd be nice if he waited, but
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have coverage for the restaurant? Because you're going to need some time off.
yeah. I have a really great sous chef from Nevada, and he was a breakfast cook out there for 6 years. So I trust him there.
That's great.
So I'll be able to take a week off once the baby's here.
Do you have anybody foraging for you? I mean, it's too late now for ramps and fiddleheads. They're such a big deal up here.
Yeah. I worry about some things, like mushrooms. There's so many familiar mushrooms
Yeah.
that you can get in trouble with.
Yes.
And so that's why I stick with the fiddleheads, because there's something I know how to clean them, I know how to take care of them.
Yeah.
So that's my fun forage for the year. And then other than that, I garden.
Yeah.
But because of the baby, I'm not gardening this year. But normally I do big blue Hubbards, pumpkins, squash, zucchini, tomatoes, peas.
So will you be able to use produce from the garden in the restaurant?
Yeah. If it's something like a sugar pumpkin that I could bring in and make pumpkin pies with, I have another local who comes in and he takes my coffee grounds for his worms. And
They're not going in your compost?
Nope.
Pigs don't really like them, or chickens.
Yeah.
I have
And-
chickens and I compost, and I know what my chickens think of coffee grounds.
Yeah. And then it's sitting in the paper, so I don't really want to compost it. But this local comes and he mixes the coffee grounds in with his dirt,
Mhm.
and somehow it's really good for the worms. But he's growing me fresh tomatoes, peas, squash, and
Uh-huh.
zucchini. So I will have those once they're ready. So it's saving me from growing my own for now.
Yeah. Is there a list locally of restaurants using local produce? Because that does attract many people. And
I know a few restaurants do, but I don't think there's a list that exactly says who. And I think it's the same thing. We all try to, but being up here in the Northeast Kingdom, it's hard to get produce all year round. So we get what we can,
Mhm.
and then whatever else we resource. Like I know Pine Pasta does. They get what they can locally. And I know Fritz does at Derby Lane Village Inn. So
Yeah.
I know the most of us do try and buy local, but again, it's hard.
Yeah. So one of the groups you're partnering with is the Menfremago Community Maritime, which sounds like a really cool partnership.
Yeah. I'm
And
excited for
hopefully
that.
before the end of the season, they're out there. And how are you going to be working with them?
Originally, it was just going to be catering lunches whenever needed,
Uh-huh.
but it's also now turning into a cooking class. So being able to come out and, as I took early childhood development, I'm very good with kids. I love working with kids and teaching them. If we don't teach them, who's going to? So I absolutely love doing kid classes, cooking
Uh-huh.
classes. So we're going to set up days where people can come on and learn how to cook something. For me, it would be, I'm extremely trained in seafood. So I could show how to break down a fish completely, or a lobster, or how to make a specific dish, even as simple as eggs Benedict. So learning those simple things is,
That's really creative thinking.
yeah.
And that's going to be on the boat, or?
I would also like to start doing it at the restaurant. Because
Yeah.
I'm closed on Wednesdays, but that's the day I go in and prep for the week.
Uh-huh.
So it would be a perfect day that if I had a group of people that wanted to come in and learn, that's also when I break down my lobsters and my seafood. So I would love to set up classes for that.
I bet there's other groups who would be really interested in helping you with that. For example, the Arts Collaborative would probably have some people and some ideas that could help,
Yeah,
because food is art.
yeah, it is.
I think a lot of us who consider ourselves foodies, which means we really like food, see the art in it. And as you talk about serving a lobster and breaking it down, I know one of your specialties is lobster roll,
Yes.
because I keep hearing people on the street talking about your lobster rolls. I'm vegetarian, so I'm not much help with that.
Yeah.
But I know the skill that it takes to do that, to do it well.
And the difference with what I'm doing,
Yeah.
the reason it tastes so good is I'm not buying the frozen claw meat
Yeah.
because it's easier. I'm doing it the hard way and buying the whole lobsters, and I actually put them to sleep before I cook them.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually allows them to loosen up, and it makes the meat more tender. So that's
Yeah.
one simple trick. Another thing is you're mixing together the tail, the hands,
Yeah.
the forearms,
Yeah.
and the claws. So it's just like a chicken. Instead of just eating the white meat or the dark meat, when you try both of them together,
Mm-hmm.
it tastes better. So when you're doing that with lobster, and each lobster roll gets claw, tail, and forearm,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes the taste better. And then I don't add anything to it except for the meat. If you get it hot, you get butter, dill, and lemon juice.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's cold, it's a little bit of mayonnaise, dill, and lemon juice. And then just lobster meat. So I'm not throwing in celery or onions, but I like being flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So I let my customers know, if you want to add celery, I have no issue with that. If you want to add onions, absolutely. I tried doing home fries was the hardest thing for me when I first opened.
The home fries.
Because for me, home fries is onions on the flat top, and a little bit of butter,
Yeah.
and let them simmer. And then you fry your potatoes, and then you toss them together on the flat top.
Sounds delicious.
I tried that, and 70% of the people said, no onions, take it back. So then I had to start serving it without the onions. And then now I have customers that say, where'd the onions go? So
Where's the hot peppers?
yes, actually I just had somebody today get that. So the usuals that keep coming, they know that when they come in, they can have onions and peppers tossed in with it. It's
So we can have
no
it
issue.
our way?
Exactly.
Not just Burger King,
Yeah.
which you can't have it your way there.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
And I don't see why you can't do that. Because if everything's made fresh and to order,
Yeah,
you should be able to do that.
absolutely.
And that's what I want to bring.
And one size doesn't fit all.
Right. Yeah, my pancakes is another thing.
Right.
When I make a pancake, it's the size of a plate. But I have usuals that come in, and they only want little pancakes. It's no issue to me. I make them fresh. I even mix them fresh to order.
Yeah.
So if you only want half the pancake, I only have to mix half the amount. So it's no big deal to me at all.
Can you help people who have special diets, for example, the gluten-free or?
So I focused a lot on the gluten-free and on vegetarian. My father is vegetarian. I don't go to
So
his
it's
house.
not a new concept to you?
No.
Up here, apparently vegetarian means lousy hunter.
No.
I have learned that it's an old word up here for lousy hunter.
Well, for a lot of people, it's a better diet.
Yeah.
And especially, I read that if you're an A blood type, vegetarian is a way better option for you because your blood has low acidity, and so does your stomach, so you have a hard time breaking it down.
Right.
So for a lot of people, it's actually better for you. And I like focusing on that. Like I have a portobello burger. Instead of getting burger, you're getting a portobello cap.
Yes.
And I have marinated portobellos for wraps. And I actually have my menu marked now which things are vegetarian and which things you can have gluten-free.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure here, I've eaten your portobello sandwich. It was delicious.
Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
the gluten-free has gotten a lot better than it was just 5 years ago. I actually have gluten-free bread now that is tolerable. I couldn't eat it, but the new stuff I can. And I even
Yeah.
have a cauliflower flatbread
Mm.
that I use for paninis. So I have gluten-free paninis, sandwiches. I have gluten-free buns for burgers. So a lot of the stuff on the menu can be
Yeah.
either way.
Are you making your own bread?
I make my own white and wheat,
Yeah.
and then as I get settled a little more and figure out my prepping schedule, I'm going to be adding in more breads like cinnamon raisin or
Yeah.
well, we tried doing donuts and they sold really well, but not as well as I'd liked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait a little bit before I introduce those again.
Sure.
But muffins are homemade,
Hmm.
things like that. Biscuits, all the gravies. So that was another big issue though. My brown gravy, I was making it
Uh-huh.
bones, tomato paste, roast them in the oven, the French style. Did not go over well. I found out everybody up here likes the powdered. So that is the one gravy that I use powdered gravy for,
Uh-huh.
because poutines sell really well when I put that on them. So
That's tough when you move to an area and you find that what you thought people would eat is so different from what they really eat.
and it's all about what you grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. And it's comfort food.
Yeah, like shepherd's pie for me has peas in it. It's the exact same way as here, except peas and lamb
Yeah.
is what we put in it.
Yes,
And then I came up here and it's ground beef,
I know.
corn, and do not ever put peas in it. I learned that the hard way.
It's a little learning curve here.
Yeah.
What is really cool, and we're just about out of time, is that clearly you want to be part of the community and to help the community as well as being a business that needs to survive.
Yeah.
And that's a great combination.
There's a great quote that I follow by, and it says, there's different types of people. There's the person that makes their circle that only includes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Other people draw a bigger circle, and they include their family, their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's those few great that include everybody in their circle and try and help everybody. And I like to live by that.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, how you act, immature or not immature,
Right.
it's still a person.
Well, welcome to Newport. Thank you for being here.
Thank
We
you.
really need you as much as your business needs everybody here.
Yeah, we all use
And
each other.
hopefully, this town right now can open up again and we can all grow with you.
Yeah.
So when, in another year, when everything's sort of, quote, back to whatever the new normal is, and your workshops and other community-based experiences are happening, will you come back and do this again?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you.
I know we had to drag you away from your food today.
No, it's all right. Sometimes it's hard to do.
Great.